trouble. Wicked, why you gotta be so wicked? And the moment that you caught my eyes, I'm in trouble. Forgive me for wanting, but I just can't think anymore. When I see you, I'm in trouble. So enchanted by you. Why you gotta be so cruel? No, you made my knees weak, my heart stopped a beat. I still want you. Forgive me for wanting, but I just can't think anymore. When I see you, I'm in trouble. So enchanted by you. Trouble. I don't wanna get in trouble. Trouble. I don't wanna get in trouble. 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 I don't wanna get in trouble. But every time I hear you laugh, I get into trouble. Wicked, why you gotta be so wicked? And the moment that you caught my eyes, I'm in trouble. Forgive me for wanting, but I just can't think anymore. When I see you, I'm in trouble. So enchanted by you. Why you gotta be so cruel? No, you made my knees weak, my heart stopped a beat. I still want you. Forgive me for wanting, but I just can't think anymore. When I see you, I'm in trouble. So enchanted by you. Trouble. I don't wanna get in trouble. Trouble. I don't wanna get in.
Is anyone here? What did you find?
You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.
Oh, you
All
wanna?
right, we're live. Sorry, guys, for the delay. We were just behind time a little bit. We had some tech difficulties. As you can see today, I'm not alone. our resident our cryptid maniac, and also our conspiracy theorist, is back from his mysterious illness, which we have come to the conclusion we have no idea what it was.
Yeah, I have no idea what it was. The doctor had no idea what it was, and I was a sneaking suspicion it was either monkeypox or monkey flu,
There's
which
no
could be
such
a
thing
new
as
thing.
monkey flu. No, there's no such thing as monkey flu yet. Just so you
Never
know,
know.
behind us helping today, our Elvin for on the fringe. It's not Eugene today. It's actually Kim. Kim, glad he very nicely came to help us while when Eugene couldn't come in today. So you know, we're one
Yeah,
community on Supernatural Confessions. We jump around all the time.
yeah. If Kim didn't come in, it would have been me that was behind there, and I would be.
Slightly worse.
Oh,
The stream may not have even started, but as you can
it
see,
would have started, but it would have started on my own terms.
uh, as you can see, we're drinking again today. It's a Wednesday night.
Of
I'm
course.
drinking. I
Hump
actually don't know.
day.
This is the Heineken Silver. I just found it in my fridge. Shout out to
Ooh,
my
how
friend
is
who
the
bought it.
Heineken Silver? I've never tried that.
I don't know. It's pretty okay. So we're back on the drinking games. Bill
Yes.
probably will say like a lot. He has a backup beer sitting there
I've
somewhere.
got Kirin Ichiban beer, and also I have Anchor for the drinking game. I've
Yeah.
got a 6 pack of that. Kirin is too expensive to be sculled like that, so
All right, let's say hi to some people. Hi. Oh, Sonia's around. Hi,
Hey
Sonia.
Sonia,
Ivan. I gotta read
hello.
this. Ivan says, "Hello, Bill and Matt and Eugene, and everyone on SC. He's the first to arrive. Yeah, you were. Happy first month episode of On the Fringe. Yes, that is
Yes.
actually what we had today. Today is the first month, and hopefully a lot more months to come. Today we are talking about Noah's Ark. It's a bit of a, I would say, left wing thing. I mean, here on the Fringe, we talk about stuff that's all over the place, stuff that's real. Maybe it's not. We don't know. But yeah, I mean, on Noah's Ark was actually chosen by the people on Facebook. It was the poll. So if you don't know if we have a poll, it's all there. You can find out and then always chime in on what you want. Basically, a lot of these topics come from our Discord channel because we always leave it up to the community to decide what they want, and then we'll put a poll on the bigger audience, and everybody decides what they want to hear about. I was actually pretty surprised it came out. It was like 33% compared to the other ones.
Yeah, it's kind of odd.
Yeah, I thought it was like, oh, okay, well, so
I mean, that's what we're talking about, and we have very polarizing opinions on what Noah's Ark is or what our own personal theories about it.
yeah.
And yeah,
And I mean, just to give you guys some back, I mean, just to let's see, KK Hings
don't we
already
have a
said
video?
prepare to. Wait, KK Hings said prepare to sip more beer tonight. Well, Bill, your people already watching you. They're gonna start counting. Somebody needs to get like a count going.
Count, I dare you. I've practiced.
Okay. Well, we will get there. Yeah, Ivan. I mean, Yeah, I thought multiverse would win too, especially with Doctor Strange coming out and all those other shows. Apparently, no one's interested in metahumans too. But there's always more stuff coming along down the road. It's not the only month that we're going to be around, so there's more to talk about. Ivan, in case no one, I mean, in case anyone's drinking along with us, the drinking game is if Bill says like, he takes a sip, and if you want, you can take a sip too, just
The
to make
Anchor
sure
beer
everyone's on the
was
same page.
chosen by its terribleness and the fact that it's really cheap and it's gonna give me a hangover tomorrow.
In the
So
middle of the week. All right. The bots in Discord probably rigged the poll. Yeah, I don't know what bots, but maybe we'll see.
what's up with the bots in Discord? They've been a bit iffy on my end.
Yeah, I mean, it's Discord, man. There's always gonna have some bots. But anyway, let's get to it. Let's give you guys a little background information on Noah's Ark for those that aren't too sure what it is. We have a video queued up, so let's get that playing, and then everybody knows
Watch
what's up.
away, watch away.
Oh,
Oh, is it playing?
it's
Is it
gonna
doing
play.
it?
Oh,
Oh, press the button. Press it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's getting sorted.
Okay.
I mean,
we need more time to get that sorted. Oh well. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, we'll play the
All
video
right.
later,
Cool.
but we'll give you. I mean, I'll just briefly describe what it is. If for those who don't understand or are not Catholics or Christians or aren't too sure on what Noah's Ark is, many years ago, Noah was a follower of God who was chosen to basically create this ark, which was massive, because there was an impending flood that was coming to destroy the sins and also beings of the world. And so what Noah did is he basically set out to build this ark and take two of every animal onto the ark and start a new world. That's a very Cliff Notes kind of deal. I'm pretty sure I'm missing out some
Yep.
facts. What do you think,
I
Bill?
believe that there are many facts that are being missed out there. And
I mean, but yeah. So basically, what happens is he takes on, yeah, like Evan Almighty. That's actually a very a good example. Like Evan Almighty, the clerk says, if you have you watched that show, Bill?
yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Basically, it's that, and yeah. So tonight we'll be discussing on whether we think it was it actual was it actually an event like that, or was it even possible for someone in that day and age to, you know, pull off something like that. Okay,
All
yeah,
right,
we're
let's try
gonna
it.
get
Let's try
that
it.
video. We'll give it a go. Hopefully it works.
Like,
The descendants of Adam and Eve began to multiply and spread throughout the earth. However, men were corrupt and violent, just like Cain. God, witnessing the wickedness of men, regretted
let
his
me check.
decision. But there was a man known as Noah, who was fair
it's
and
definitely
honest.
playing in the
Noah was walking the path of God.
video.
God then spoke to Noah and ordered him to build a large wooden ark. The great boat would have to be 135 meters long, 22 meters wide, and 13.5 meters tall. The ark would be split into different compartments and sealed with pitch. Then, God told Noah that he would destroy all that existed on
I'm gonna
earth,
go real hard on
and
this.
the creatures
like,
that live on it
after this, I
would
think we should do
also
the
perish.
disclaimer first.
God declared that he would summon a major flood,
Before we really
saving
get into,
Noah
like,
and
the
his
hard
family
discussions.
from
Yeah,
it,
I agree.
forming an alliance with them. God ordered Noah to bring a couple of every living creature into the ark. The ark would also store food for the maintenance of the animals. Noah obeyed God's command. Therefore, 2 animals of every kind came to Noah and boarded his ark. The great flood promised by God began. 40 days and 40 nights of uninterrupted rain. The great ark floated on the waters, and even the great mountains submerged when confronted with such a massive torrent. All men and creatures who lived on earth perished. Only those in the ark survived. The waters covered the earth for 150 days straight. Only after that, the floodgates of heaven were closed, and the waters began to recede. Noah released a pigeon and a crow to see if they could find land, but they found nothing. Noah waited a few more days and released a dove, but this time the bird returned, carrying an olive branch in its beak, a sign that the earth was emerging again. The water would only return to its normal after a couple of days. Then God ordered Noah to abandon the ark and release all the animals that were inside it. And Noah did. The animals left the ark, and God made them fertile and multiply on the earth. Noah built a shrine dedicated to the Lord and offered a sacrifice to God. God was pleased with everything Noah had done and decided that he would never destroy again all the living creatures of the earth. Then God blessed Noah and his family, making them fertile, guaranteeing that they would multiply and populate the earth. God created the rainbow, the symbol of the pact between God and men. And from that day on, whenever Noah's descendants see a rainbow piercing the clouds, they recall the pact celebrated with God.
No, not yet. Nope.
Ah.
Yep.
Okay.
So I told you I missed out quite a lot of details on on that story. But all right, before we actually move on, I'm just gonna we're gonna put out this disclaimer. Okay.
Yep.
We aren't trying to disprove religion here. All right, just a bit of background information. I'm a Catholic myself. I grew up with these stories, but we're just gonna come in with basically fresh eyes and kind of pick out the story. We're not trying to disprove anything here. We're just it's all educational, you know what I mean, and entertainment.
Yep. As usual, we both encourage everyone to keep an open mind. If you feel at all that we are attacking you or attacking your beliefs in any way, we do apologize. It's definitely not what we meant to do. And Singapore government, please, we're not trying to incite some sort of like some
See
sort
what
of
I mean?
religious tension. So this is a show about supernatural things.
I mean, no, we are on the fringe. We talk about fringe stuff.
Yeah,
On
but I don't want to be
supernatural
arrested.
stuff. Supernatural stuff is for Friday nights, my guy.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to be arrested by the CID.
Okay. Anyway, I mean, yeah, like again, just the background information, dude. I used to teach Bible studies, and this is one of the stories that I've always kind of had I wouldn't say an issue with, but just to believe it, it's insane. Like what they're basically saying, this ark that was built, uh, you can see it from ancient drawings on ancient paintings all over the world. If you go to different churches, you can see depictions of the ark, and it's everywhere. And I think it's just insane that one guy plus maybe three of his kids built this entire like gigantic ark that could hold
So
two
back
of
in those
every
days, I'm
species.
willing to believe that he had 10 kids.
Well,
I
I
would
mean, no,
say a
biblically,
fakest dozen other people helped
I
him.
mean, biblically speaking, according to what was actually shown, he only had three kids. He
What?
did, however, live to like apparently 600 years old. So
That's hella low for those days.
yeah, dude.
Like,
But
we have records of people like in the medieval ages that would have like 11 kids or 15 kids because, they would, you know, die.
yeah, and I mean, actually, the story of the ark isn't just in the Christian faith. I think it is also in Islam. It's in Judaism. It's in quite a few different teachings. So it's actually pretty interesting. Like you think, like how it's even possible. So like if you see this first image, I can pull it up for you. You can see that actually it's a big ass boat. It's legit a big ass boat.
It is literally a big ass boat.
And again, like according to the stories, it was built to hold two of every species alive on Earth, one male and one female, his family, and also just to survive. I think it was a year and 3 months that they're supposed to live there until, I mean, according to the stories, a year and 3 months until kind of land dried out and they could move on. So just to give you a gist of how big it actually was, right? Let me show you, like I will show you this image of the size of Noah's Ark compared to the Titanic, uh, the Queen Mary, and the Wyoming is Santa Maria.
Hold
It
on.
is
Where's that image?
number three. Yeah. So you can see this image is it's just I mean, it's
Oh, there it
kind of
is.
small. It's small in comparison to like the Queen Mary and stuff like that. But I mean, for its day and age, man, like this is like the Wyoming was built in, I think, back to when they were sailing to find like the U.S. and new lands. But that's a pretty big boat for someone who's born like what was it, probably 4,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago.
Yep. I find it really, really, really
What is 500 feet? 510 feet. I know that was the exact
Yep.
number. What is that in meters? 155 meters, 55.4. That is massive
That
for
is a
someone to
big
build.
ship.
For someone to build like how many years ago, dude? That's insane. KK Hang It actually said, "It's so strange that the animals don't start to eat one another." We'll get to that. we'll
Yeah,
get
we'll
to
get to that. I had to stop myself from like getting to that, but
that. Carlos Cole said maybe they're kept in Pokeballs. Yeah, possible. I mean, maybe that's how Pokemon started in the first place. But yeah, I think even I like to understand that you can actually see like the next image. Like, how is it actually possible that you could have these different layers and different things? And according to the stories in the Bible, it was basically different decks, and I think the bottom deck had held like most animals or the bigger ones, and then slowly like his top deck was where I guess humans stayed. I mean,
yep,
it was only three of them, so that's
yep.
kind of a hectic job. And coming from a zookeeper or an ex zookeeper, taking care of two of every species on the planet, dude, that's a dead ass job, man. Like
Yeah.
I would,
Plus,
I think I would die.
yeah, like plus remember, right? This is a big ship. It's not as big as like a modern day cruise ship, but
Yeah.
just moving on those boats, just moving from one level to the other on an elevator, on a modern elevator, takes time. Imagine doing it using the stairs
Or some makeshift ladder.
or makeshift ladder that you could fall off and die on. OHS.
So that's what I mean. Like I think that's the kind of first step that we're coming into to kind of basically describe what it is. Like I think realistically speaking, I think you'd need more than the number of people he had to take care of all this. Like this is just if we're talking purely on science and facts, like I think it's impossible to be able to take care of so many animals. And yeah, I mean someone brought up a good point on Facebook. Sean Cole said, "And how do you feed all of the animals?" That's I
Yeah,
mean,
for a
that's kind of
year
for a
plus.
year. I
I
mean,
could
I think,
understand that this is like a portion, like a very small, like exotic portion of like all the animals.
yeah, and I mean, I don't think it's including all the marine animals. Like, I think
Wouldn't
the
they be
marine
safe
animals were
though?
fine because they were in the water.
Wouldn't they be safe? Wouldn't it be a good thing for them if there was a huge flood? Like, oh, now we're the masters of the land.
Yeah, so I
Take
mean, I
that,
think that was.
cows.
I don't think you got to put a blue whale on Noah's Ark. They were chilling in the water, man. They were having a great time. They had
Yeah.
a sudden influx of food and like, oh shit, man, I'm gonna eat everything. Plus, I mean, they only took two of every animal, right? So like all the bigger carnivores in the
No,
sea are
I
probably
said it
happy.
like.
They probably just they're chilling, taking up the rest of the food. Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of scientific evidence. So, funnily enough, we kind of were getting to the topic was whether this is actually possible if we're talking about geography, right?
Mm,
So apparently, back in I forget what year, but I mean, many years ago, people have described that they said that they found Noah's Ark, and that's image
yes.
5. It's actually they say that this natural formation is the remnant of Noah's Ark. Now, I think I wouldn't say it's a stretch to say that because I mean it is quite an unusual natural formation if you look at it. It kind of does have I guess the looks and um the awkward edges that you don't really see in natural formations.
It's got
So
that tip as well, so it's very boat-like, you could say.
yeah, it looks honestly like if you told me this that they actually found it and this was it, man, I would be like, well, I think I would maybe believe it. What do you think? Do you think? What would you say?
So I would really love to believe that Noah's Ark this is actually Noah's Ark, because there will be so many things we could learn, and so many just simple gaps that we could just patch over with this one discovery. But unfortunately, the team that did discover it was a little bit sus. Was more than a little bit sus.
So here comes our resident conspiracy theorist.
No, this is not a conspiracy, I'll have you know. This is a proven fact, all right? So this expedition of about 13 people that discovered this, right, which was by a Chinese university that was funded by a Catholic trust fund, using donations and using money that was meant to be for basically like helping the poor,
Yeah.
in trying to discover this formation in Turkey, which is quite a religious country still, and keeps a very tight-lid control on information in that country, being
Yeah.
still a communist dictatorship.
Well, I don't know about Turkey, but I mean,
It is. It genuinely is.
like, I mean, the thing is, you know, I don't know, man. Like, I would, I, I think it's the kind of thing that you see in academia where usually the
There is
people
so
who
much
fund,
bias. There is so
yeah,
much bias to be had, because the funding is where it tells it all.
yeah.
It's Catholic money.
I mean, it's
And
essentially the same kind of deal that, like, you know, these big tobacco pharmacies, how they were fighting the early stages of the e-cigarettes, right? And basically the early studies were all trying to disprove like the effectiveness of certain stuff, and that was all
yep,
funded by like the big tobacco pharmacy companies.
yep. They were trying to discredit studies that prove that smoking is bad for your lungs and has a direct correlation to getting lung cancer,
Yeah, and I
which we
mean, I
now
think
know
well, that's
very,
the
very, very direct.
well, yes, and you know, I think, yeah, I think even as a scientist, like someone who works in academia, I would always kind of think about where the funding is for a certain project, or if I see like a scientific paper that, you know, has to be peer reviewed, I'd always kind of want to know what the funding is and where it's coming from, because immediately if you find out where that is, and you can kind of draw like a correlation or a causation of what the results are, you know what I mean?
Yep, yep,
I
yep.
mean, if it was
It's
funded by a
always going to be
company where it's
skewed.
neutral.
So data manipulation is something that is quite commonly done, even
Yeah.
in academia, even in science. Like you fudge the data a little bit. Like I remember my physics teacher was like, "Oh yeah, we fudge data." It's like, what? Oh yeah, we fudge the data sometimes. It's like, yeah, just here and there. It's all right. It's all right. Everyone does it. It's like, what?
So it's like what do you like, if you know, is it really real or is it just, you know?
Well, yeah. Well, going back to Noah's
Oof.
Ark, so I find it extremely suspicious that they just so happened to discover in Turkey of all places.
Yeah.
Turkey, again, Edragan, not to get political here, he is, by all intents and purposes, in absolute control of that country. So it is very hard to verify and to send another team over that is impartial to actually say, what is this? I believe there was a second team that was sent out, which was a purely Turkish expedition that said, oh yeah, this is the thing.
Yeah. I mean, I had to stop you there for a sec. The clerk says, hey Matt, so starting to say like. Well, I'm gonna take a sip because I didn't really know, but we'll see.
Look
That's
at
what happens, man.
that. The shoe is on the other foot now.
Yeah, and you know, I was trying to keep up to see whether or not you said like or not, but I haven't seen anything yet. I haven't heard it.
Oh, apparently I did say like once.
Hey, KK Hing also said he's working in science and forging data might be common. It's not denying it. Yeah, you know, also,
Yep.
I mean, I work in academia too. Okay, I can't say that I've ever done it, but have I ever heard of someone possibly
Or
doing it?
seen it?
I haven't seen it. Well, actually, I mean, not really, no. So I mean, I think when you go into like these bigger, especially those people who are trying to publish stuff, because publications on academia is like basically your driving force of your
Yep,
funding and
exactly.
stuff like that. So I guess you can see the pressure and why they do it. And yeah, so it comes back to the same thing. Like, is it possible that this guy, like this discovery, was it really Noah's Ark? I mean, the information or that we get from
There
our
are lots of
findings
question
is
marks. There are lots of
kind of
people that could
sketch.
stand to earn a lot of money if it was.
Yeah,
And
and
there is that question of a lot of bias and the fact that there are no other teams that can be sent into Turkey to actually verify
yeah,
that this is actually a reasonable discovery, that are impartial, that are wholly impartial.
yeah,
So again,
it's
if it was the real thing, I'm pretty sure Turkey would love to have that tourism again. That would be
that
awesome
is
for it.
true. That is true.
Their economy ain't looking that good, but and
But if you can't go to Turkey and you want to see the Ark, so far from what I found, there's actually two people in the world that's ever created a replica of the Ark, and I can show you that in the next image. In the next image, you can basically see where this guy or this team in this is Kentucky. It's actually hilarious because this was actually made in I think it was a Christian theme park, and
yeah,
I want to pay money to go to a Christian theme park, man. I'm interested in what they're selling, but
yeah, this is
basically,
pretty awesome actually. The fact that they tried to make a real to scale model with modern tools to make this thing.
yeah,
And how
and see
many
that's
days did it take them? Do we know that? Do we know
I
how many
think it
weeks it took them?
like I mean I think it was still like a couple years,
Yeah,
yeah, a couple years. And see that's the thing that I think comes back to our first question on could this one man actually
and his
build
family.
and his family build this enormous ark. And I mean, even you can see in this photo, there's a construction team. There's like, you know, all these vehicles and ladders and all these modern
Yeah,
equipment.
this is insane. This is like a massive like construction undertaking. Like the size of this ship, right? For it to be able to be supported like that, like there must be like tons of teams like going inside that thing, like to and from, and that boom guy is probably there just his one job is basically to re-lacquer the ship as it's being built.
And this, and
Because
just so you know, this costs like the team 100 million American dollars to build this. And to just give you some rough ideas of the dimensions and the scale of it, it's stretching 137 meters long, stands at 23 meters high, and 14 meters wide.
yeah,
And that's believed to have been the literal like translation of the numbers that was written in the Bible.
mm.
And bruh,
That
I
is a
mean,
massive ship. That is a huge ship. That would have easily dwarfed any ship of that day. I mean, like 4,000 years ago, I'm pretty sure like
dude, they were just
the
rolling like
larger
they're just
ships were maybe like 10-meter, maybe 15-meter Viking longships,
yeah,
maybe, or
and
even like the Chinese I know had
yeah,
some ocean-going ships, but nowhere near as big.
and that's the thing. Like, is it even possible to? I mean, if you see this team create such a big, ship with modern equipment, say, is it even possible for someone to, you know, pull that off like
Well,
a couple thousand years back?
yeah, I mean, like Sin put out a good point. Like, does Noah have alien tech?
We're gonna get to that in a little bit. Yes, we'll get there. We'll
Hmm.
revisit that in a little bit. But yeah, so I mean, you can even see in the next photo. This is just one. So if you want to go to Kentucky, you can actually see this just chilling out.
Yeah, if anyone's going to Kentucky, please like do a
Yeah.
video like a diary of you going in this for us because we are very interested to see like what's inside.
Funnily enough, I didn't know, but apparently there is a second arc that's actually built in the Netherlands, and
Oh wow,
I
okay.
had
That's
I had no idea, but
I had
I
no
can
idea
only
either.
assume it was built near the Bible Belt. See, the Netherlands has their own Bible Belt where these fundamentalists, I would
Do
say,
they?
yeah, dude, that's where they live. And I have a feeling I didn't know, but I wasn't surprised when this guy popped out a giant on his own ark. He built two arcs, so he built like a mini replica one, and then he built a bigger one. And the cool thing about that is he was using old school tech.
All
Like
right.
he did it Evan Almighty style.
Wow.
And still, I mean, it took him a while, but it's insane. Like that's with not having to worry about diseases, like stuff back in the day. Like if you fell, if you fell off the boat, like I mean, if you fell from 100 meters, you'd probably die, but
You
like
would die. Period.
you would
You
die,
would
yeah.
die. Period.
But like right now, you could probably go to the hospital. You'd still probably die, but
I'm pretty sure 100 meters is basically terminal velocity. You are dead.
you die. But if something happened, you'd probably be able to get some medical treatment. I mean, better than like 5,000 years ago, where
But then
they
again, he did live to 600 years, so
see that's like
that's the weird thing about it. Like, oh, I just
yeah,
cut
that's
myself
like
there.
just a topic for a different day, man.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think it's pretty insane. And we're
Oh
gonna get to,
God.
well, let's get into why, like, you had your conspiracy theory. Usually I'm not on this boat, but oh well, that was an unintended pun. Shit. But so there is I would say a hypothesis, or well, yeah, hypothesis that actually Noah himself, while he may not have had help with um, building his ark by aliens, but he himself was an alien, and I didn't stumble upon that until I was doing some research about today. And basically, when he was born, this dude, he had a really strange complex, and he was able to light up the room with his eyes. And when you put it that way, it's kind of a strange thing. Wasn't even only that, but he was also, even at a young age, he had white fluffy hair, and he was described to be very foreign to the people of his land. And that's a very,
Well,
just a bizarre
he could have been an
description for a
albino.
human.
That's the thing. He could have been an albino.
See, now that could be it. But what if he was
So
actually
my
like an
thing would be
alien?
right. Would be in a lot of ancient cultures,
Hmm.
people with like melanism, with albinism, and any kind of isms, right,
Yeah.
have always been seen as the devil's work.
Or gods. It's one or the other.
It's one or the other, but it leans towards more of the other, like
Hmm.
of the, oh, it's the devil's work.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about this like in the mindset of like a 4000 BC person, like in
Hmm.
somewhere in the Middle East, right? If I saw this guy, right, and he has white hair, and
Yeah.
his eyes are literally lighting up the room, why am I not calling out that he is like a demon
Well, I
and not
mean,
stoning him to death right then?
yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, and
That's what I
especially like
like.
the whole light versus dark kind of thing, I guess because he had that aura about him where he was of the light. So I mean, I guess the general assumption would be he's a god or he's a angel or something along those lines. So I guess he wouldn't stone him. Then again, he was just a normal dude. So I don't think you'd straight away like assume that he was, you know, supernatural. I mean, the fact that he lived for 600 and something years, but everybody who was
I
born in his
mean,
time
to be
probably
fair,
died. So
right? Like, remember the witch hunts?
yeah,
Literal normal people were accused of being witches for the stupidest things. So humans do have the capacity to just go like, "Hey, normal person, you're definitely a demon. You're getting stoned. I'm sorry. You're getting stoned.
Yeah, and Ivan actually brought up a good point, and he said, "Is it possible that before the Ark, the technology was super advanced, and that how he stored two of each animal and the flood wiped it all, including dinosaurs, are dead because of basically the dinosaurs couldn't fit in the Ark?" And yeah, I mean, Sean Cole also kind of led to it that the dinosaurs, I mean, the timeline of history died many years before that. Could their tech have been advanced? Um,
I would like to believe that is why we have a lot of sea monster stories, because after the Great Flood, all those remnants of dinosaurs in the oceans still are around to this day.
yeah,
I'd like to believe that.
interesting you brought that up. So I did some digging on some academic papers, and apparently there was let's say like a cataclysmic flood about around 5000 BC, which was roughly the time which people assume was happened that Noah's flood could have happened.
Hmm.
I mean, a flood did happen, but like they were off by probably 1,000+ years. Like there is actual evidence showing that this flood was a real thing. It's just probably wasn't as long as a year and 3 months, which is what the Bible said was how long it is. And if there was to be a flood that flooded the land for that long, you definitely see it in the geology.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. So my thing on that, my my personal theory on that is that it is more of a shared history chronicle. That
Hmm.
yes, there were floods, especially in the Turkish Mediterranean region. Oh hell yeah, there were lots and lots of floods, and some of them were pretty bad, really, really bad.
Yeah. Actually, we've got
And
this has got a super interesting discussion going on Facebook, uh, where I mean, if you're tying back into the line of maybe the tech was super advanced back then, and
hmm,
maybe Noah could have just been keeping DNA materials and embryos instead of actual animals in the ark. And I think
yep,
that is a very interesting approach if we were to believe that Noah was an alien and he had that tech.
we could even like expand that a little bit, like with the whole forerunner concept,
Yeah,
like especially done like in Halo and stuff like that.
yeah.
Dang it, I said like again, where they did like collect a lot of DNA samples. They
Yeah,
did like eventually like reseed the Earth,
yeah.
but they
I mean,
implanted memories in us where it
yeah,
was like a shared kind of species memory of what
yeah,
they want us to believe.
yeah. And I mean, Finn also kind of led to it, leaned into it. How Noah was also kind of described to be a ancient astronaut thing, or in that same vein. And when it comes to the whole gestation of the embryos and cultivate the DNA back into living, breathing animals, that's what Sean asked. They, I mean, according to this theory, that they had that tech, and the Ark it could have been a spaceship, it could have been, just a normal wooden boat. But I have my own issues, and this is the reason why I've always questioned this. Now we're gonna go into a little bit of ecology for those that are interested in my background information. See, if we were to take two of every animal, right? And also, just so you know, humans who, according to Noah's Ark, would have had to come from Noah himself or Noah's children, because you know it's ancestral, and then blah 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 blah, right?
Yep.
So let me show you this image. It's an event in ecology that we call genetic bottlenecking. And what it actually is let's say, like before this, let's see on the left hand, right? You have the original population where it has a lot of different different types of balls, different kind of colors, right? So what happens is if there's a bottleneck event where you try and you, let's say, kill off 80% of the population. Now those
Mm.
remaining in that population would then have to breed with one another. And what happens over time, the surviving population actually, the genetic information starts to repeat itself. And what happens in the long run is that you have a lower genetic diversity. And
Yep.
the reason why that's a bit of a problem, or rather unlikely that it could have happened, is that in the long run, you'd have a lot of incest and inbreeding, which gives birth to a lot of diseases, to a lot of defects.
Yep.
And I mean, if you want to put the shoe on the other foot, you could say that maybe that's why Noah could live to 600 years old while we can barely push 100, you know? But that's really pushing that idea that, this was actually a
I
thing.
mean, I would expect to see some pretty bad defects, like, oh, jeez, not again.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to
Hold
see a lot
on.
of.
Spare the voice. Ah. So let's take a real world example, right? Let's say the rebounding of the cheetah population in Africa,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
it basically came from a massively small genetic pool, and now they're starting to try and breed them back up. They are breeding them back up. One
Yeah.
huge problem. Now most of them have curved tails. They didn't
Yeah.
originally have curved tails.
Yeah.
That's a
And that's
very
Yeah,
overt mutation.
and that's the thing with in evolution, and if you look at it very scientifically, evolution, adaptation, and a lot of these genetic bottleneck events, or just stuff that you notice in ecology, it's not something small that you don't notice. It's like, oh, uh, maybe this guy has white hair and then his kid has white hair. Like a lot of when you have genetics that start to mix, especially like with inbreeding, that leads to issues very quick. It can be
Yeah.
this next generation or just a generation after. I mean, I think in the US, there was, I don't know if it was the US or Australia, but there was this family who were basically inbreeding for the longest time, and they had kids. And that exact generation right after, they had problems, man. Like they were not like normal people. They had
Yeah,
issues.
I believe the Amish used to have a big issue with that.
Yeah.
So a lot of like Amish villages and like settlers had issues with that until they decided, hey, we're gonna start communicating with other Amish villages and actually start letting people cross and travel between us.
Yeah. And I think I mean, if you were really to wrap your mind around the fact that this is saying that 2 of every animal came from this one event, it's almost impossible. Also, for another reason, because you'd have animals like, let's say like Singapore's favorite, the panda, right? The panda is terrible at breeding, let's be honest.
The panda is terrible at a lot of things.
I mean,
I have-
surviving in general.
Surviving, and also I genuinely believe that the panda should just be left to just go
Slowly
completely into the
wither
night.
away. Yeah,
Slowly wither away. That creature was not meant to survive. That if there was an intelligent being that created us, that creature was a alpha test that did
it was
not
an
go
accident,
very
man.
well.
It's like he was mixing the paint, and he was just like, oh shit, there's too much white. Oh shit, too much black, and then just ploop, there we go. But
Yep,
yeah, I think it's impossible to, like, pandas breed. What is it? They breed within 1 week in almost every year, and if they
Okay.
miss that chance, they'd have to basically come back the next year, which is, it's honestly
That's
insane.
one of their flaws. That's one of their flaws. Other flaws include having a diet primarily of bamboo, which is the lowest nutrition value food ever, having a very sluggish metabolism, have just the worst camouflage I've ever seen
It's
for
like a white and black thing in the
primarily
middle of green.
yes, in the middle of the green. it's like you are not made to survive, but you have somehow, and you are now the poster of ecology and conservation, which I believe is incorrect.
See, okay. Since we were kind of leaning onto this about how, in science, you got to see where the funding's from, right? This
Yeah.
is my bone to pick with conservation. I'm all for conservation, of course. Like, that's what I studied. But the problem is, like, we conserve animals that we deem to be attractive or
Yes.
cute enough to conserve. You know what I mean? Like, at this point in the lifespan of the world, we've lost close to 60% of all insects
Yep.
that have gone permanently extinct.
And we
And
don't even know of.
yeah, we don't even know it. You wouldn't even know if I told you. But in terms of like mammals, you look at the panda. Panda was close to extinction, and it slowly come back. And yeah, there's like what Sin said on YouTube. These animals were deemed to be worth it. Now, I'm not saying like animals like the tiger. See, the tiger were hunted to close extinction. The rhinos were hunted to close extinction. But I mean, the panda, it was kind of hunted, but then again, it was just because it was terrible at breeding.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of these animals become political images. So if you know the background of the pandas and where they're from,
I
it's
would
it's a
not have had a
political
problem
bargaining
with the
chip.
panda. I would not have had a problem with the panda if a very disproportionate amount of the money going into conversation was not going into pandas.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the fact that they're part of the WWF. I mean, that's basically they're the image of the WWF.
Yeah, they are the image. They're on the logo, and it's like, come on, jeez.
You could have saved the tigers, man. Tigers are way cooler. Or rhinos. Rhinos are also pretty cool.
Elephants.
They,
I'd always go with elephants.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, okay, that's it. KK Rockard said conservation is good when we protect the species that are dying fast due to human actions and not due to natural causes. And I completely agree. And
Yep.
I'm just gonna say I love that this kind of turned into a conservation speech, even though it had nothing to do with it. Well, it kind of did, because this is
Well, we're
something I've
talking about the
always
genetic
wanted to
pool, and it always
discuss.
leads to conservation, and it always leads to, hey, especially with animals, because it's such a close. It's something that's very well researched in
Yeah.
our recent lifetimes because of all the conservation that we've had to do, because as a species we have done all these terrible things.
Yeah. Because we start, just so you know, if you're looking at the time, we started late, so we're gonna push just a little bit past
Yes,
our normal time.
yes.
KK
And
Heng
that
said,
is why I
what
wholeheartedly believe that cryptozoology needs to be a
a
lot
bigger
more
thing.
respected, because we have so many creatures that maybe we get like one or two chances in our lifetime to actually like observe and see before they're all
Yeah,
gone.
yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, let me just go to the Facebook chat right here. KK Heng actually said, the otter conundrum is raging as of late. See, I love what the otters are doing because, first of all, it's not my $1,000 fish that's being eaten, but this is their natural environment. Like, you can't kind of fight nature in a sense. And I think it's a good sign that they're coming back. It means that the Singapore in general is becoming more of a conducive area for the species, and also a lot of different species that are coming back. I mean, crocodiles are coming back, and
Yep.
there's just so many things that like even Chris Ho said, "What
Crocodiles I'm a
about
bit
the
concerned about. Otters I'm fine with, because otters are
cute?"
small and manageable.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say cute. Then you're kind of fighting the cause that we were talking about before.
No, because as a person that has lived most of their life in Australia, I have a
Yeah.
very healthy respect for crocodiles,
Hmm.
because
Yeah, I mean
basically
it's
9 months out of the year you could go down the beach, and the
it's in your
thing you
backyard.
wouldn't be like scared of wouldn't be the great white sharks. It would be just a random saltwater crocodile just swimming across the beach.
Yeah. And I mean, Chris Ho also said, "What about the sloth?" Now, you see, the sloth in itself is actually. I'm so sorry that I'm nerding out here on animals, but the sloth is actually a very interesting animal for both the human population and actually medical research because they're so slow, they have a entirely amazingly big ecosystem on their back that it lives in the algae. And actually, scientists are actually researching that algae because they believe that it might have some properties to actually slowing down cancer and actually fighting cancer and a lot of the diseases that are coming out. Yeah. That
Mm,
was my nerd rant. I'm sorry, guys.
yeah.
Yes. Uh,
So
okay.
my issue with crocodiles is that there's a big issue right now in Darwin that there are too many crocodiles and they're encroaching on people. So there's a big question right now on people versus crocodiles. Who gets what?
We
These
gotta,
salties are quite well-known man-eaters. They will take people.
yep.
No questions asked. They will take you.
We gotta, we gotta,
So
we gotta bring Joe onto this next time if we're talking about crocodiles. But anyway, in the interest of time, let's wrap
yes,
it up because I think there's a lot of things we need to condense. So
yes,
let
we
me
need to
say my
condense.
piece.
Yeah,
Let me say my piece. If we were to believe that Noah was a human, right? I would say it's an enormous feat. And if in any weird chance this actually happened, I would say like it was one of the biggest things that the world should actually be celebrating because it's basically the start of our population. This was the
yep,
only reason why like we are here today. And if it was
yep,
real, legitimate, that would be properly insane. Now, if Noah was in some way an alien, which some people believe, like an ancient astronaut, and maybe Noah's Ark was either a spaceship that came in from another planet to start sowing their seeds on a viable planet, then I would say that's a bit more of actually, I don't know. And today, I'll be very honest. I don't know which one's more of a stretch. They both sound like amazingly big stretches to me.
yep.
Yeah, and I don't. I would say I'm not a believer in just because if I look at it ecologically and scientifically, it's yeah, it's not. I don't think it's very possible.
Yep, exactly. So
What's your
I'm going to
piece?
say my piece now.
Yep.
Uh, I personally believe that Noah's Ark is a almost a shared early historical text written in oral and both written language, early written language, to recount a very real event that did happen a lot in the Turkish peninsula, which was the Mediterranean Sea swelling up and actually engulfing the Black Sea.
Yep.
That is a very, if you were a person living back then, that is a wholly biblical event. That is insane to think that could happen in your lifetime or anyone's lifetime.
Yep.
So I could definitely believe that early people made stories to make sense out of those things. Now,
Yep.
with the modern interpretations of what Noah's Ark could be, I think that is wholly for a propaganda and a almost like a tourist trap, like a financial purpose. Because hey, follow the money. As a cryptozoologist and as people that um, like to live on the fringe, we have to see, does anyone really have anything to gain from this thing being there? Because there are
Yep.
many people that are exploiting Bigfoot that isn't actually there, that are fakes. There are many people that are exploiting like Sasquatch,
Yeah.
werewolves, what have you, that aren't
And
actually there, and that discredits everyone.
it's kind of it's not a
But two
bad
likes
thing.
there.
Okay, well, it's not a bad thing for I think the population. I think in the beginning, in the early stages of this stream, I've mentioned that I think it does a lot of good for the communities that these animals or these cryptids are found, but it's it will be a point where people start to purely monopolize it, and that's gonna be whether you're gonna find a fact or fiction because maybe there were actually some truth to some cryptids, maybe this the story of Noah, But the more of these people who try to monopolize it, you're just discrediting the rest of the people who actually find something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like again, God. All right.
Yeah,
There you
dude, just at the end of this, just shoot that beer. Just get drunk.
go.
I think
It's done
everybody's.
already. It's done already. I need to get
Oh, you gotta
another
crack
one.
open another one. I think people are just waiting for you to get drunk.
Ugh, why?
So if you guys wanna, if we ever do have like a live sit down where we have an audience, you guys gotta make sure Bill gets drunk, like properly.
No.
Drunk.
Dang it.
Yeah, I think it would be hilarious.
No, it'll be drunk.
If you want to see that, please put it in Eugene's mind, or maybe on like our
I would
Discord
literally
channel
just be
under
a deranged
suggestions.
person by the end of that, just
think
like
it'd be-
throwing beer cans
it'd
at
be
people.
great.
Like, no, you're wrong.
But yeah, and so that's the information on Noah's Ark. We're gonna give you some. We're gonna sit down and just talk about stuff just to wrap things up, and then what's going on in the community. But yeah, let us know what you think Noah's Ark is about. Find us on our Discord channel. Bill and I usually hang out there. I'm actually there quite a lot. I don't always reply, but I'm always just creeping. So
Yeah, I try to creep every chance I can, but recently it's been real bad on me in terms of time and in terms of just resources in general. So yeah, what we can do is we can put out that little competition that we were talking about.
Yes.
While I chug this beer, this fresh Anchor beer.
While
Take it
Bill's
away, Matt.
killing himself and his liver and also that beer, Bill and I were thinking about having a little token for you guys to purchase for On the Fringe. As you may know, Bill actually Bill runs a company where he does a lot of 3D printing. Bill's very into D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and those little miniature figurines. So we were thinking that what we do is we put out maybe a couple pieces. We just want to see what you guys think. We will start designing a figurine for our topics of On the Fringe. So we're gonna go back. This is season 1. So we've talked about the Lugaru, we've talked about time traveling, we've talked about Noah's Ark. And if you want to own yourself a little figurine, 3D printed figurine, let us know in our Discord, and we can actually get that printed. Is that what you wanted to say while you're dying?
Oh, well, we wanted so we're thinking about making like a jeez, no more figurine line. A figurine line to commemorate our our On the Fringe.
Dude, he's getting there.
So we wanted an art competition. Basically, submit any art, any drawings that you have of what we've talked about, or maybe something we are going to talk about in the future. And the winner is going to get basically a model based on that image that we are going to start making available to you guys.
So if you're interested, send us the drawings or your images, or what is that file that you guys use for 3D printing? What's it called? Is it an STL?
Yes, it is called an STL.
All right, because we have somebody who knows what that is. The clerk says he wants to work for you because he has 2 resin printers too. So if you are even that advanced and 3D printing is not a new thing for you, send us your 3D, your STL images or your files.
Send us an STL. It'll make things go a lot easier.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think, and we'll get it sorted. I mean, we can even start maybe for the person who wins. Maybe we'd make up a bigger one, while everybody only gets to buy like small ones.
Okay, how about this? Right, for the person who wins, somebody screen cap this. They get 1 Drunken Bill trophy.
Oh my god!
With an anchor, yes.
Oh my god. Okay, shit, that sounds lit. Okay, so you heard that right, straight from the
Oh,
horse's mouth. If I mean, when you are chosen, you will get that image that you are drawing. We will use that for our future prints, and you'd also get basically a 3D model of a drunk Bill holding an Anchor beer. That's actually free adverts for
oh,
Anchor, but
my
that's
camera's
fine.
drunk as well. Oh, jeez.
Shit, it's getting bad to worse at this point.
It's getting real bad.
So if
Oh
you
no,
like
the camera's drunk as well.
if you like us, if you our supernatural confessions team, if you want to see more of us, you can find us on our Facebook page and even on our private group on Facebook. While Wednesdays you have us, Fridays you have the rest of the gang on Friday Night Lives, and Tuesday you also have Eugene and Jonathan having a show. So if you want to see more of us, please catch us there. And actually,
Yes.
just to give you a little tidbit, there's something possibly coming next week on Friday, right? I mean, oh wait, sorry, what am I talking about? On Monday. I
What?
was talking to some people on the Discord who said that they wanted to see Huntu Hunters. We are in the discussion of doing something there. So, stay
I
tuned
want
to
to
our
do that.
Facebook.
I want to do
What?
that.
You
I
want
want
to
to
do
do
it
that.
too? All
Yeah,
right.
I want to
Well,
do that. I was not like
dude, it
privy
was
to
in the
this
Discord,
conversation.
but we'll get
Well,
there.
okay. Anyone that wants to talk to me, you need to add me to this because I'm like, oh,
So, yes, you're going to find us.
I'm
Just
either
ghost
high
hunting,
on chemicals
phasmophobia.
or
You
I'm
will
drunk.
definitely find us. I'm gonna wrap up this stream while Bill, before Bill does something because this dude is bruh. He's drunk. Bill, wrap us up. Send us your final closing.
All right. Noah's Ark, real or fake? We think it is fake, but it's for you to decide.
All right.
Remember, stay in the fringe, guys. Stay cool, stay awesome.
Yes. Like Bill said,
Pow!
you'll catch us every Wednesday. Catch us on our Discord after this. And until next week, stay on the fringes, guys.
I both
We'll
love and
see you.
hate you guys.
Bye. We'll drink another beer.
What did you find?
You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.